guys, how's it going? Today I want to show you 3 varieties of panicle hydrangeas, all of which are new this year in 2021. So the first variety is called Quickfire Fab. It's what you see right back here. This is the southwest corner of our new property, and we planted this area up to be low maintenance but beautiful. Like, this variety wants to grow 6 to 8 feet tall, 5 to 6 feet wide. So I'm hoping in the end it's just this huge beautiful bank of hydrangeas. We have a red point maple here in the center. But this is the only variety last year that we showed you guys. We did a video about this one. When we received these, it was the middle of summer during a heat wave. And you guys know, I mean, 2020 was a crazy year. Shipping was crazy. All of our shrubs sat in a shipping container and at a FedEx facility in, I think, Utah for almost 2 weeks with no water. Like, can you imagine? No light, no water. So the other 2 varieties that I'm going to show you in a second, they looked almost dead when we received them. These were okay, and that's why we decided to show you guys these early. So I'm looking forward to showing you the Limelight Prime and Firelight Tidbit are the next 2. But I'm excited about these, one, because they are the earliest blooming panicle hydrangea that I'm aware of. Like, they've been in bloom, some of them more than others, and it's kind of like typical first growing season, full growing season for these. Once they are established a little bit more, I expect their blooms to be a little bit more consistent, but they all look good, which is so nice. So you can tell that these have already been in bloom for a while because they're already starting to color up. So they start off this beautiful creamy white, actually kind of like a chartreuse. They go to a creamy white, and then they start to color up pink. You can see just a slight blush there, and that will deepen. So the pink will increase, it'll get to a nice deep pink, and then almost like a pink red. They're really beautiful. So with this early blooming variety, you get like 3+ months worth of blooms. I would say for us here, we have a very long growing season that it might even be closer to 4 months of beautiful color. And the thing I like about hydrangeas, you guys know I love hydrangeas, but they require no maintenance. Once they start blooming, they just look gorgeous all through the whole entire season. There's no deadheading, there's no spent blooms, there's no petals falling all over on top of your mulch. They're just a wonderful plant. And these are not protected by a dang thing. I mean, there's nothing protecting them from wind. You guys know what kind of wind we get around here. We do have them set up on a drip system right here. Full sun, they're doing great. They can also handle our high pH. In fact, they're very versatile for different types of pH. And there's 2 other varieties of Quickfire. So the Quickfire Fab grows 5 to 6 feet wide, 6 to 8 feet tall. The traditional or standard Quickfire grows about the same height, but they get wider. So this one's a little bit easier to tuck into a flower bed situation. And then there's the little Quickfire, which is the smallest of the 3, which is a little bit, well, it's the easiest. You don't have to have as much space to keep it happy. But the other thing about panicles that I really like is that they bloom on new wood. So you can go in and shape them up, trim them back in the late winter, early spring, and they come back fresh every single year from that. So anyway, super happy with these. Now yesterday, Aaron and I went and planted the Limelight Primes over on the other corner of this property, so we'll head over there next. So these are the Limelight Primes right here. You can see we planted kind of an arc of them. There are 6 here, and we have right on the other side of where you see the wood chips here, we are going to be putting in a grass walkway. So we thought it would be really pretty kind of along this curve to have this bank of beautiful hydrangeas. So the Limelight Prime versus the standard Limelight, which is one of the most popular panicle hydrangeas out there and one of the toughest, I think. They've done so well for us here in full sun situations. That's why I felt comfortable planting these out in the middle of nothing. I mean, they're just going to get the brutal sun all day long, but they can actually handle it here, which is amazing. But they actually bloom earlier than the traditional Limelights. They stay smaller, so 4 to 6 feet tall instead of like the 6 to 8 feet tall, and a little bit more narrow, and they color up more vividly. So they start out like, this is just so pretty. I like them this color here. This beautiful chartreuse, kind of like a little bit of creamy white splashes here and there. And then the panicles start turning that really vivid, deep pink. So by fall, we should have an absolutely gorgeous color show out here. I'm so looking forward to it. They also have incredibly strong stems. And while I find that the stems on our traditional Limelights are very strong, I think just having the more dwarf or compact nature in this plant creates even more of a sturdy kind of habit. Also, all of the panicle hydrangeas I'm showing you today are all zone 3 through 8. I don't think I mentioned that before. Okay, Okay, so the last variety I want to show you we're actually going to be planting today, they're called Firelight Tidbit. We're going to have to go gather those up and our planting supplies. Then we'll head out where I'm going to be putting them. All right, guys, so this is the very last area where we're planting the Firelight Tidbits. Now, you're going to have to use your imagination if you would for me, because I know it's hard with the way it looks right now. But this is another area right where I'm standing where we will have a 15-foot, in fact, I hope you can see the flags. There's a flag here and a flag on this side that indicate where the grass pathway will be. So, and I think you might be able to see the tire tracks that lead to our cut flower garden. So this pathway will be a beautiful lush dark green, and I wanted to flank this opening with something gorgeous, but something that wasn't going to be super tall, because especially on this side, when we're driving by, I don't want to have anything so tall that I can't see the cut flower garden. I think being able to look back there and see what's going on is kind of fun. And I do plan on putting in some kind of native meadow areas on both sides of the pathway, actually. But both areas we intend on having fairly heavily planted with shrubs and low maintenance perennials, things like that. So that's what we're going for. This is the Firelight Tidbit. Look at this plant. I cannot believe what these looked like last year. After they arrived to us, all of their leaves were crunchy and brown. They were pretty much just stems. And we thought, well, I mean, they're a pretty tough plant. We just watered them, carried them over. This is the container they arrived to us in right here. And then this is what they've done this year. So it kind of goes to show you what happens if you just give things a little bit of time and just give them proper water. So I'm really thrilled with how these have done. And I'm going to be planting 3 on each side of the walkway, interplanted or intermingled with some denim and lace Russian sage. Isn't that a glorious combination? I think they'll look beautiful together because they are compatible in size. The hydrangeas have the potential of being a little bit taller. It'll depend. I think every year may be a little bit different. Denim and lace does really well for us. Grows roughly 28 to 32 inches tall, this one 2 to 3 feet tall. So it should just be a wonderful blend of color right here. I'm not looking for a huge amount of height difference, because that will kind of happen beyond this little area right here. And the nice thing about this area, you might be thinking like, oh my goodness, these 2 plants are very incompatible water-wise. Well, they typically are, but we have to run drip to everything here because we hardly get rain ever. So we will run more emitters to our hydrangeas, far less to our Russian sage. In fact, I think I'll be running just a ½ gallon per hour emitter to these for the rest of the season, and then I'm going to probably plug those, and they will just only need the water, excess water that they can gather from the hydrangeas being watered. So I think we'll be able to control that in a way that both of these plants will be very happy. Now, the Firelight Tidbit. There is the traditional firelights, which we have planted alongside our barn, like parallel one side of our barn. We've got them in our brick raised bed circle area. They want to grow like 6 to 8 feet tall, 6 feet wide. These 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, so incredibly versatile, and I think one of the smallest panicle hydrangeas that I'm aware of. So anyway, I think we're going to, Aaron is probably going to come and use the auger to aug some holes for me because the ground is fairly hard out here. We'll get these planted, we'll get them mulched, and then we'll show you what it looks like. Okay guys, so the camera overheated and turned off. So we were unable to capture this whole process. That's why I have not mulched it yet, because I wanted to show you how we ran the irrigation so that wasn't hidden underneath mulch. But you can see, so based on where the flags are, this is roughly where the edge of the grass is going to be right here. And this is just our little entry to the flower bed, and I think it's so pretty. I mean, it's kind of in an island of nothing right now, but not for long. Not for long. This is the starting, and it kind of motivates me to keep working back, you know, start in the front and work back, which is kind of like the opposite of what I normally do, but these things look great. So We dug all the holes. We used biotone starter fertilizer, Land and Sea. I'm going to be mulching with Land and Sea compost out here as well to help combat our high pH, hopefully help condition the soil a little bit. And this soil is incredibly hard, like really hard. That's why Aaron was using the auger to dig the holes. Usually I do that, but it is so hard out here. He was even having a hard time with it. But once we start irrigating, it does soften up a bit. We are trying to irrigate very efficiently out here. So what I did, we use a 3/4 inch supply line for our water. We already had it running out to that birch tree. So if we cruise over here, I can show you how I tapped into that line. I just used a 3/4 inch T coupler, cut the line right here, and put the T coupler in between the 2 runs of tubing there, and then this is the new tube that I took off with. I made sure to put metal clamps there so that the water pressure doesn't make it pop off. And then we just ran this tube this direction, which is nice because we will be needing it in this area. The only areas I think I will be actually using the 1/2 inch brown soaker, it's not soaker tubing, but brown drip tubing, 1/2 inch holes every 18 inches are the meadow areas that I'm going to plant. But other than that, I think we're going to be really target watering so that we don't waste water. So what we did is we came in like on our Russian sage here. They don't need very much water. I ran a 1/2 gallon per hour emitter to each one of the Russian sage. Once they're established, we'll probably cap those because they won't need any additional water. They're super low maintenance. So we tapped in with a 1/4 inch coupler here into the 3/4 inch line. Ran a 1/4 inch just solid black poly, and then on the end here there's our 1/2 gallon per hour emitter. We just have that right at the root ball. And then for the hydrangeas, same kind of thing here, a 1/4 inch coupler, black poly, and then when you get to the bottom of the hydrangea, I used the 1/4 inch brown drip tubing, holes every 6 inches that emit 1/2 gallon per hour of water, and there are 6 of them, so that means 3 gallons per hour to each hydrangea, and I think that that will work out fine. So you can just see how we kind of spidered off to each plant, and then we ended the 3/4 inch drip tube right there. So let's take a look at the other side. Now these are not the same shape, so the configuration of plants is just slightly different. Those kind of go back a little bit further. These are a little bit more wide and don't take up as much distance. But I think having the repeat plants in here is really pretty. Also, this is the redbud tree that I dug up from the flower bed right in front of me that I had a heck of a time digging this tree up. I had to cut the taproot, and I thought for sure we would lose the tree, but here it is looking so awesome. I mean, it bloomed and everything right here. So, I mean, everything's going well so far. You can see that the irrigation is the same here. I will be getting this area mulched because that will help with moisture suppression or moisture control, and then also weed suppression. So that will be nice, and it'll cover all the watering infrastructure. It's always a good idea though, if you can run your irrigation system a time or two, just see what the water coverage looks like, because if for some reason, like let's say the water from the hydrangeas really kind of subs out, this one I might be able to cap the drip on this one right away if it's kind of catching the water from the hydrangeas. So that'll be something that we can monitor, and that's always a hard question we get asked all the time, like how long should I run my drip system? What kind of emitter should I use? It's so subject to what your soil's like, where they're at. Like these are just gonna get nailed by wind and sun until we have more things going on out here. So we'll be very mindful of the irrigation. So we're going to wait to mulch a few days just to let the irrigation system run, and then after that point we'll be mulching. So anyway, I was just so excited to show you guys these panicle hydrangeas because they're the best type of hydrangea for our area anyway. The arborescens do pretty good for us too, which are the smooth hydrangeas like the Annabelle type. But panicles definitely can handle the most amount of sun without wilting, and they just perform for us. They bloom consistently. They come back every year. I don't have any issues with them. Other than I think we've maybe had like hit and miss chlorosis, iron deficiency issues with maybe a few, but that's kind of typical of our area, but largely they do really well. So anyway, we will be giving you updates on all of these hydrangeas as we go along. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.